Thank you for joining me for this gentle yoga class. I hope you're safe and sound at home, and we're just going to go through some pretty gentle postures. Since I know you're at home, you probably don't have a lot of the props that you would have when you're here at the Y. So if you have access to a blanket or a pillow of some sort, I would recommend that you have that. It can be used for a number of things. We can fold it and use it in place of a block. And we also may use it to prop up when we're seated in seated positions or to support the low back during when we come onto the ground for some of our recline positions. That said, find your way into a comfortable seated position. You can sit in any space or any way that you would like. You like to have the legs crossed, extended, one of each. I encourage you to do so. Maybe you like to prop up onto your blanket. That helps to alleviate some of the stress in the back by allowing the knees to drop so that they're even with those hip creases. You can have a soft gaze at the ground or close your eyes and just bring your awareness to the breath, starting to come into the practice space by way of the breath. Inhaling fully, notice the sensation of breath at the tips of the nostrils. Slow, gentle exhale, in and out through the nose. Feeling the breath moving through the body, following the path, noticing if there are areas where it sticks or catches. See if you can use the breath to smooth and soften those spots. And allow the breaths to be deep and even. Finding continuity in your breath. Inhale, rolling to exhale. Exhale back to inhale with little or no pause in between. We begin to get a little gentle movement into the neck, turning the head gently from side to side as if slowly shaking your head now. 2 more times here. And the next time you find your neck in that neutral position, we'll pause in stillness. Allow the chin to drop down toward the chest. And then slowly grow up toward the sky. Gently stretching the front and the back of the neck. Now keep in mind if there's anything that I suggest today that does not work in your body, simply don't do it. I'll offer as many modifications as I am aware of. There's no need to do something that creates tension or pain in the body. We want to release and open up those muscles today. Let's come back to a neutral seated position. Start to notice any distracting thoughts. Anything that takes your mind, your awareness, away from your mat. Beginning to think of these or visualize these as mental clutter. Visualize a mental storage space. Maybe it's a closet or a box, a chest of drawers, bag, anything that you would use to put away clutter. With each inhalation, gather some of that mental clutter. With each exhalation, place it into your storage space. And as we do this, let's allow the right ear to drop toward the right shoulder or continue turning the head side to side. If it's available to you, maybe the chin rolls down toward the chest. Left ear might come to the left shoulder. Allow the chin to find its way up to the sky. Pausing in stillness here. Reverse the direction. Left ear toward the left shoulder. Chin to chest. Right ear to right shoulder. And chin to the sky. Come back up to your neutral seated position. Start to think of an intention or dedication that you'd like to set for the practice today. Something that you'd like to achieve or receive while you're on the mat. Maybe something you'd like to carry out with you into the rest of your day, the rest of your week. And as you begin to repeat this to yourself, let's roll the right shoulder up toward the ear and then back and down. And then the left. And then the right. And right, and left, right, and left. Pausing in stillness, fingertips come up toward the sky, pulling the fingertips toward the wall behind you, back and down. Moving with control, inhale, drawing the fingertips up, shoulders stay softened away from the ears. Exhale, allow those arms to float back and down. Stretching across the upper portion of the back and then across the chest. Last one here. Inhale, fingertips to the sky. Exhale, rolling back and down. We'll pause here, fingertips at the ground. Lean towards your right side. Getting a stretch up the left side of the body. Sit bones remain firmly planted on the mat. Maybe you bring those left fingertips up and over shoulder. Again, remain softened away from the ears. We're not hunching up. You can bend into the elbow, getting closer to the ground to deepen the stretch. 2 more breaths here. Last one right here. Press that hand into the ground, slowly press up, fingertips to the sky. Exhale, left hand comes down. Leaning over toward the left side, stretching the right side of the body. Again, remember, keep the sit bones firmly planted on the ground. We're not rolling onto the hip. If having the arm up overhead creates tension or discomfort for you, you can leave it at the hip. We just want that stretch up the right side of your body. 2 more breaths right here. And with your next inhalation, we'll slowly press up. Allow those fingertips to float to the ground, sitting up nice and tall. Let's extend the right leg out in front of us. Fingertips find their way to the sky. Turn toward that extended right leg and allow yourself to hinge at the hips, dropping the chest toward the leg as the hands float down. Walk the hands up, getting some gentle movement into the body as we prepare to settle into this stretch. Exhale, hinging at the hips, slowly folding forward, walking the hands back up. Fingertips to the sky. Exhale, sinking forward one last time, and allow the hands to land wherever they land. Maybe they're at the thigh, maybe they're at the shin. On the ground, framing the leg, touching the ankle, the toes, or wrapping around the foot. With your next exhalation, the navel center draws toward the spine. Maybe that allows you to sink a little closer to the leg, maybe not. Notice where you're experiencing the stretch. You're probably feeling sensation in the back of the leg, through the low back, into the hip on the left side. 2 more breaths here. Again, shoulders are softened away from the ear. We're not trying to hunch out to get to the foot. With your next inhalation, we'll slowly walk up. Extend both legs out in front of you. Pause for a moment, noticing the difference between the left and the right side of the body. And then allow the right foot to find the inside of the left leg. Inhale, fingertips float up toward the sky. Same thing. Softness in the quadricep. Exhale, sink forward. As you inhale, slowly walk up. Fingertips find the sky. Shoulders are soft, hinging at the hips, engaging the muscles in the core of the body to support the spine as you float forward. Last one right here. Exhale, sinking forward, and then allow the hands to land wherever they end up. They can be at the ground, they can be on the leg, the ankle, the toes, or the foot. The goal here is to stretch through the legs, the hip, and the low back. So where the hands end up is somewhat less important. Maybe it even feels good to you today to bring the hands behind you. Introducing a little more stretch across the front of the chest. With your next exhalation, navel center draws toward the spine, sinking a little bit closer to that extended leg. 2 more breaths. Last one right here. Inhale, slowly come up. So allow those feet to extend out in front of you. If you're sitting on a blanket, go ahead and remove that. We'll bring the hands behind us. Tops of the fists or the palms at the ground. If the tops of fists are at the ground, we just want to press the chest toward the sky. And that stretch across the front of the chest, across the front of the shoulders. If the palms are at the ground and you feel pretty stable, your shoulders feel pretty open, Maybe you bring the soles of the feet to the ground, slowly pressing up into a reverse table. Or not. One more breath here. Exhale, slowly lower back down. And from here, we'll find our way into our tabletop so that we can get a little movement through the spine, a little more stretch through the legs and the arms, working with some stability and some balance as well. I would encourage you to place a blanket underneath your knees. If you don't have one handy, or if you're on carpet, you may not need that. So from your tabletop position, palms are firmly planted at the ground. We want to have the hands about shoulder width distance apart. Let's begin by drawing your left toes all the way back toward the back of your mat. Toes remain at the ground. Gently press the heel toward the wall behind you, and then come back to neutral. 3 more times. Now, if coming into this tabletop position does not work for you, this can be done from your seated position. You would just extend the leg out in front of you and press the heel away from you and then draw it back to neutral. 1 more time here. Pause in stillness, reset your tabletop. Go ahead and try the other side while I demonstrate the seated variation. If you're staying in your seat, you'll remain in a seated position and just press the heel away and then release. Press the heel away and release. It's the same movement in the body. 2 more breaths here. 2 more little pulsations. Last one right here. Reset your table. We'll get into some cat and cow postures. Navel center draws toward the spine ever so slightly. As you inhale, the tailbone and the shoulders grow toward the sky or the wall behind you if you're in a seated position. As you exhale, tuck the tailbone and the shoulders toward the center of the abdomen, pulling navel center toward the spine. Inhale as you open into your cow. Exhale as you round back into that cat. Maybe the neck starts to move. Chin dropping to the chest with the cat pose. Gaze coming up toward the sky with the cow posture. 2 more times here. Last one right here. And we'll pause in stillness in our neutral tabletop. Allow the hands to walk out in front of you a little bit so that we can get a little bit of movement into the joints in the arms and the legs. If you're in a seated position, maybe you bring your hands to a wall in front of you so that you can experience some similarity of this positioning if resting in tabletop doesn't work for you. So as we inhale, we'll shift the weight toward the hands into a little modified plank. As we exhale, we sink back, sit bones come toward the heels. Bend at the elbows as you come forward. You'll notice that cow-like sway in the back as you roll forward. Round in the back, cat-like as you sink back. Moving shoulders, elbows, wrists, knees and hips. 2 more rounds of breath here. Last time here. Continuing to sink, breath and movement. Inhaling as we come forward. Exhaling as we compress back. Pausing in stillness in a child's pose if you'd like. Knees can be side by side, or you can separate the knees toward opposite sides of the mat. Chest and forehead can come to the ground, or you can leave the head elevated, or maybe you stack the forearms, resting the head on the forearms. 1 more round of breath right here. With your next inhalation, we'll come back up into our tabletop. Reset the neutral tabletop. Press your left leg straight back. The right hand comes out in front, pulling fingers and toes in opposite directions. Bird dog posture. Navel center draws toward the spine. So this is a stabilizing posture. It allows us to stretch through the entire body. Elongating through the spine, engaging muscles in the core. If you would like a little bit of a challenge, you can move with this. So pausing right here or allowing the pinky to come toward the ground as the toes come to the sky and lifting back up. Dipping and lifting like a little oil well. 2 more times. Or holding in stillness. Last time, movement or in stillness. Exhale, reset your tabletop. Let's gently sway the knees from side to side. Hip kicking from side to side. Getting a little movement through the sides of the body. Pause in stillness right here. We'll switch sides. So this time your right foot comes straight back. You want to keep it about hip height. The left hand comes out in front. Pulling fingers and toes away from each other again. Shoulders stay softened away from the ears. Neck is neutral, gazing at the ground. Finding that focal point, that gaze point, drishti, we call it in yoga. If this isn't enough of a challenge for you today, again, maybe you get that movement. The pinky finger coming to the ground as the toes come toward the sky, and then lifting back up to neutral. Exhale as you dip. Inhale as you come up. Challenging that balance 2 more times. And if this is the balance challenge right here, that's absolutely okay. Last breath here. Exhale, reset your tabletop. Sway from side to side. Getting some stretch through the outside of the hip, through the waist, the sides of the ribs. Pause in stillness here. And we'll bring the left foot forward in between the hands. Walking that foot forward so that you can lean forward a bit, sinking into a low lunge. So you want that stretch through the hip flexor and the quadricep on the right side. You can have the hands at the thigh, or you can have the fingertips down at the ground. 2 more breaths here. Last one right here. With your next exhalation, let's come up and back into our little forward fold. So the fingertips might rest at the ground right below the hips almost. Maybe you're walking forward a little bit more. It depends what's going on in your hamstrings and your calves. This is also a posture that can be done from a chair. You would simply have one foot resting at the ground and the opposite leg extended out in front of you. If you wanted to increase intensity here, let's come back into our lunge. So you can stay in this low lunge with the knee down. Hands at the thigh or fingertips at the ground. Or maybe you elevate that knee off of the ground, keeping the back heel off of the ground. And again, the lunge can have the hands at the thigh or the fingertips at the ground. From either of these positions, we'll shift so that that front leg straightens, whether we're sinking the sit bones toward the heels at the ground, like this, or in that standing variation, more of a pyramid pose. And if you're standing, maybe this is enough of a stretch for you. Maybe you choose to sink the hands down to rest on the shin, on the top of the foot, or the fingertips frame the ground, or frame the foot, on the ground. 2 more breaths here. Last one, wherever you are. And if you did choose to come to that upright position, let's allow that knee to drop to the ground. Bring the hands inside the foot. And slowly bring that foot back. Toes pressed toward the wall behind you. Drag that leg behind the back of the body, allowing the left toes to rest on the right side of your mat. You can stay right here, or you can turn your gaze over that shoulder. Yogi's choice. You can stretch through the outside of the hip, or maybe the entire left side of the body. Last breath right here. Inhale as you come back, and we'll reset the tabletop. Let's try the same thing again on the other side. We'll start with the low version unless you're absolutely certain that your body's ready to come up. If you've already worked out, maybe you want to come into the higher variation right away. So we'll begin by bringing that right foot up in between the feet, or in between the hands. Walk the foot forward so that you can shift forward a bit, getting that stretch into the quadricep and the hip flexor. The hands can come up to the thigh or not. Let's hold here for about 3 breaths. Two more. Last slow, gentle breath right here. Allow the fingertips to come back down toward the ground, sinking the sit bones toward that back heel as the right toes point up toward the sky. Sinking toward that leg a little bit more if that's available to you, or staying more upright. The further you walk the hands down toward the foot, the deeper the stretch in the back of that leg. And if that's still not enough for you, you can begin to come into more of a forward and backward splits to really get into a stretch through that hamstring. One more breath here. And then we'll reset, finding our way back into our lunge. Maybe it's that nice low lunge. Maybe low lunge with the hands at the thighs. Maybe you choose to press up off of that left knee. Left heel remaining off of the ground, right foot firmly planted. Again, the hands can come up to rest at the thigh. 2 more breaths here. Last one right here. And as you exhale, slowly come back down. Releasing that foot to the ground so that you can fold into that pyramid posture. Or if the knee is at the ground, we come back into that little forward fold. 3 more breaths here. Wherever you are. 2 more. Last full breath right here. And if you are in a standing position, we'll drop that left knee to the ground. Both hands come to the inside of the right foot. Sweep that leg back. Draw the toes across the body. Resting those right toes on the left side of the body. Maybe the gaze comes over the left shoulder, maybe not. Let's get about 3 more breaths. 2 more. Last one. Inhale as you come back through center, reset your tabletop. We'll find our way back to our seated position. So you can roll over crossed ankles or sweep the legs out to the sides, whatever makes sense in your body right now. Coming into our easy seat, or cross-legged seated position. Working a little bit with some twists through the midsection of the body. Helps to support the digestive system and lets us wring out some of that tension that we might be carrying in that stomach area. As you inhale, hands come to heart center. As you exhale, turn towards your right. Allow the hands to float down. Maybe the gaze comes over the left shoulder. Maybe with your next exhalation, you twist a little bit more, hands walking back a little bit farther. Maybe you were already at the edge in your posture. Stay where you are. 2 more breaths here. Last one right here. As you inhale, let's bring those fingertips up overhead. Exhale, twisting to the opposite side. Starting with that gentle twist. Gaze can come over your right shoulder or not. With your next exhalation, maybe you twist a little more deeply. Feeling yourself rinsing out any tension, discomfort, stale energy, stored up emotion. It's clinging to the midsection of the body. 2 more breaths here. Last full breath right here. And as you inhale, we'll find our way back to center. We're going to come to the ground for just a few moments. Before we do that, let's take our blankets and fold them into this kind of little book or block shape. So we'll use this for a supported inversion. If shoulder stand is a part of your normal practice, you're welcome to do that instead. I'm going to show you an alternative that will allow you to get into that inversion without having to use all of the energy in a traditional shoulder stand. So find your way onto your back, and you can stay facing the long way on your mat. I just want to make sure that you can see me. So we'll rest on our mat, soles of the feet at the ground, the knees point toward the sky. Arms are alongside the body. So we'll prepare by coming through a few rounds of bridge pose, lifting and lowering. Walk the feet in so the heels are close to the seat. The knees are about hips width distance apart. So we're not splaying out and we aren't really tucking the knees in toward each other either. Press the feet into the ground, start to press the knees toward the wall in front of you, and that's going to allow you to peel the spine up off of the ground. And as you exhale, slowly roll down, one vertebra at a time. 2 more times here. Inhale, press up, bringing that weight all the way up toward the shoulders. Try and keep your neck in a neutral position as you do this. When you bring that weight up toward the shoulders and the neck, you don't want to turn your head from side to side. It's a little recipe for injury. And the next time you lift up in that bridge, before you do, make sure you have your little blanket, or if you have an actual book handy, you can use that as well. Slowly press up, and we'll place our actual yoga block or blanket or a book underneath the sacrum, the pelvic bone. Resting here, allow the knees to come up off, or the feet off of the ground as the knees point up toward the sky. Maybe you hold on to your prop. If this feels okay in your body, the toes can come up toward the sky. So you'll notice how the weight shifts toward the shoulders, much the way it would in a traditional shoulder stand. You can place the hands under the hips to get more of a feel of an actual shoulder stand. And again, if a traditional shoulder stand is part of your practice, go ahead and take that now. We'll stay here for about 4 more breaths. You can have your eyes open or closed. Maybe you recall your intention, starting to repeat it to yourself again. Pulling the toes toward the sky, engaging through the legs. Navel center draws toward the spine, engaging the core of the body. One more breath right here. Bending at the knees. As you exhale, slowly float the feet down to the ground. Press the feet into the ground, removing that support from underneath you. If you were in a traditional shoulder stand, you can just roll all the way to the ground. So kind of a nice little counter to that is to bring the knees in toward the chest. Maybe you curl the forehead up toward the knees. Maybe not. If you have anything going on in your neck or upper back or shoulders that would prevent you from doing this, don't worry about it. And allow the head to float down to the ground. Keep the right knee in toward the chest as we press the left leg away. Now, if it seems like it would be appropriate in your body, if you would benefit from bringing the forehead to the knee once again, go ahead and do so. 2 more breaths here. Last one here. Release the head to the ground, knees come back in toward the chest. Pause in stillness. Or sway gently from side to side. We'll rest in stillness for a moment. Switching sides, hugging that left knee in toward the chest. Right foot extends long. Maybe the forehead comes up toward the knee, maybe not. 2 more breaths here. Be mindful that you're not pulling on the knee joint. Make sure that the hands are down on the thigh. And as you exhale, slowly roll your head back to the mat. Knees come in toward the chest. Maybe you sway from side to side, maybe not. If there's any last movement that you need to complete your practice, I encourage you to take it now. Otherwise, begin to prepare for your resting posture. So you can rest in a number of different poses. The traditional resting posture that we hear about is called Shavasana. And that's the legs extended long, arms alongside the body. You can also rest in what's called half Shavasana. That would be the soles of the feet at the ground with the knees pointing toward the sky. Maybe the feet are walking away from each other. Maybe they're side by side. You can use a side lying Shavasana, resting on your side, using the bottom arm for a pillow. Or find your way into a crocodile posture, resting on your abdomen. Or come to a seat. So allow yourself to settle into whatever pose works for you. We'll just take a few minutes to systematically release the body. We'll walk you through it. Take a moment to get any last shifts or wiggles out of the way. If you are returning socks to the feet or covering up with a blanket, go ahead and take another breath or so to get settled in and find your space of comfort and ease. And once again, return the awareness to the breath. Noticing the sensation of the breath as it moves through the body. Breathing in fully, exhaling as if you could send the air out through the tips of the fingers and the tips of the toes. With your next exhalation, allow your awareness to settle at the tips of the toes. And let your mind release and rest as you soften and settle each space mentioned in the body. All 10 toes. Both feet, your ankles, legs from the ankles to the knees, your knees and the spaces surrounding your knees, legs from the knees to the hips, glutes, low back, hips, and low abdomen. Center of your abdomen all the way to the base of the rib cage, sides of the waist, middle of your back, your upper back, sides of the ribs, and your entire chest. All 10 fingers, both hands, your wrists, the arms from the wrists to the elbows, elbows and spaces that surround the elbows, arms from the elbows to the shoulders, both shoulders, the back of your neck and back of your head, sides of your head and sides of your neck, front of your neck and throat, your chin, muscles around your mouth, your cheeks and jaw, muscles around your ears, your temples, all of the spaces surrounding the eyes, including the eyebrows, sides of your nose, the bridge of your nose, and the space between the brows, your forehead, and the crown of your head. Allow your awareness to come back to the tips of the nostrils. Follow the path of the breath from the tips of the nostrils to the top of your head and back. Settling in for a few more moments of stillness and reflection in this space of rest. With your next inhalation, begin to bring your awareness to your physical surroundings. Notice that support coming from the ground beneath you, the warmth that may be present between your body and the mat. Have an awareness awareness of the fingers and toes, beginning to wiggle fingers and toes if that seems appropriate. Maybe you rotate your wrists and your ankles. You may wish to rock the head from side to side. If you're on your back, maybe you bend at the knees, allowing the knees to point toward the sky, soles of the feet at the ground. If you're on your abdomen, soles of the feet coming to the sky, and gently sway the legs from side to side, moving windshield wipers. If you're on your side, you can remain where you are. Pausing in stillness. If you're on your back, allow yourself to roll to one side, whichever side is natural to you. If you chose crocodile, resting on your abdomen, bring the hands underneath the shoulders, pressing up and back into that child's pose that we were in earlier. Just easing this transition from that space of stillness and reflection back to movement and awareness. When you are ready, there's no rush at all. Allow yourself to settle into a comfortable seat of your choice once again. Recall the intention that you set at the beginning of the class and bring your hands up in that space of receiving, preparing to receive that intention, that wish that you set at the beginning of the class. With your inhale, bring that intention to heart center as you bring the hands over the heart. As you exhale, clear the path, pressing the palms in front of you and allow them to sweep out to the sides. 2 more times just like that. Bring that intention in, clearing the path of any obstacles that stand in the way. 1 more time, just like that. Hands to the heart with an inhalation. Clear your path with an exhalation. Fingertips float to the ground. Let's bring the hands up overhead, palms together, drawing the hands down the center line of the body. 1 more time. Fingertips find the sky. Exhale, hands find heart center. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me today, for offering your time and your energy. May you be happy, healthy, and secure. Have inner peace, freedom, and love. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.